in this video we would be studying about the development of pollen grains and egg apparatus. So first of all, let us discuss some basics about sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So angiosperms are the plants that produce flowers and that are the specialized organs for sexual reproduction. So basically the group of plants that produces flowers are known as angiosperms, and the flowers are the specialized organs for sexual reproduction. The male and female reproductive parts are separate in a flower. The male reproductive part is called the stamen, while the female reproductive part of the flower is the pistil. Okay, if a flower has both male and female reproductive parts, it is called a bisexual flower, whereas if a flower has only one of them, it is called unisexual flower. Some examples of bisexual flowers are rose, tulip, and hibiscus, whereas some unisexual flowers are the flowers of papaya and cucumber and maize. So let us discuss in detail about stamen and pistil. So the stamens produce the pollen grains which contain the male gamete. So stamen has two parts we could see in the diagram. The first is the long filament and the other part is the anther, which is basically a lobe structure which is present above the filament. So the pollen grains are produced in the anther, which is actually a part of the stamens. So similarly, the pistil also has some parts. Let us discuss. The first one is the stigma, the other one is a long tube which is known as a style, and the last is the ovary, which is the bulged portion of the pistil. So the pistil or the ovary. So basically the ovary in the pistil produces the egg apparatus in which the female gamete is present. So let us discuss about the male gametophyte or the pollen grain. So first of all, we should know what the word gametophyte means. So gametophyte is a structure which contains the gametes in haploid phase, and that structure is known as the gametophyte. So the pollen grains consist of a hard outer covering called exine, which is made up of sporopollenin. So pollen grain is the male gametophyte which contains the male gamete. So the structure of pollen grain is given in the figure below. So pollen grain has a very hard outer covering which is the exine, and it is made up of a chemical which is known as sporopollenin, and this chemical is one of the most resistant organic chemicals present in the world. The inner membrane is intine and it is pectocellulosic in nature. So beneath the exine is present the intine, which is made up of pectose and cellulose. Okay, so there are two kinds of cells in the pollen grain. The first one is this large tube cell or vegetative cell, and the other one is the generative cell, which is actually the male gamete. The vegetative cell nourishes the generative cell, which acts as the male gamete. So let us come to the main point, which was development of pollen grains. So the pollen grains are the haploid phase of the plant. So let us begin. So pollen grains are produced from microspore mother cells, and these are diploid in nature. So as we all know, the gametes are produced through meiosis. So there are two steps of meiosis. First is the meiosis 1 and the other one is the meiosis 2. So one meiosis produces 4 cells, and these 4 cells are present as a tetrad. Tetrads means a group of 4. So these cells are known as microspore cells. So these microspore cells develop and mature as pollen grains, which then further undergo mitosis to produce 2 cells, as we have read earlier. First one is the generative cell and the second one is the pollen tube nucleus or the vegetative cell. So now let us study the female gametophyte, which is the egg apparatus. Let us study this in detail. So egg apparatus at maturity is 7-celled and 8 nucleated. So basically there are 7 cells but 8 nucleus. So there are 4 types of cells present in the egg apparatus. We will see them in the diagram also. So first is the synergid cells or helper cells. We could see at the micropylar end of the egg apparatus there are present 2 cells which are known as the synergid cells or the helper cells. The second one is the egg, which is the female gamete. The third ones are the antipodals or vegetative cells which are present at the chelazal end of the embryo sac. And the last cell is this large cell which is the central cell, and it has 2 nucleus. So the female gametophyte has 4 types of cells. Now let us continue to learn about their functions. So the synergids or helper cells guide the entry of pollen tube. Egg is basically the female gamete. Antipodals or vegetative cells, these provide nutrients, and the central cells develop into the endosperm. So now let us see the development of egg apparatus. So as the pollen grains were developed from the microspore mother cells, the egg apparatus develops from the megaspore mother cells. It undergoes meiosis to produce four haploid cells, but only one of them is the functional megaspore. Now, this functional megaspore undergoes mitosis, and as we all know, mitosis is cell division. So one cell produces two cells, then these two cells produces four cells, then these four cells produces eight cells or eight nucleus. These eight nucleus gets arranged in the form of antipodals, polar cells, central cells, and synergids and egg, and that is how the egg apparatus is developed. So this was all. Thank you.